Hi, friends! Welcome to Stop the Spiral. My name is Alana, and I am the founder and somatic practitioner at the Magic of You Embodied Wellness. But more importantly than that, I am a human who loves her life. But it hasn't always been that way. For years, I struggled with depression, anxiety, intrusive thoughts, eating disorders, self-harm, you name it. And I couldn't figure out why. I'd been to therapy. I was taking the medication. I had a good job. I was surrounded by people I loved. But still, something inside of me felt so hopeless, so depleted. It wasn't until I moved to the other side of the country, leaving behind everything that I knew, that I realized I don't feel safe. And it wasn't about being in a new city and not knowing the lay of the land. I didn't feel safe within myself. Intrusive thoughts were pouring in at an all-time high. And it's not like when I was living at home and I could just text a friend, say, hey, let's go out, and I'm out on some alcohol. I had none of that. In this season of life, it was me versus me, sitting with my feelings, feeling my feelings, processing my feelings, so many freaking feelings. And that's when I realized something different had to happen this time. After all, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So I decided to explore a more holistic body-based approach and came across somatics and nervous system regulation. And that's when I realized you can't think your way out of what you're feeling, but you can feel your way out of what you're thinking. Because oftentimes, mindset work just isn't enough. It's not the negative thoughts or memories that keep us stuck and wreak havoc over our lives. It's the way our body responds to them in the present moment. So instead of letting my thoughts loop, I paid attention to them. I paid attention to how they were making my body feel in the present moment. I didn't create a story about them. I didn't shame myself for them. I just let myself experience them. And in doing that, I was able to process them and release the survival energy that kept them alive. And I know, feeling your feelings, it's so much easier said than done, but it's a matter of practice. It's a matter of repetition. It's a matter of understanding your nervous system and giving it what it needs in the present moment. Because the only moment we can heal is the now. Trauma doesn't live in the mind. Trauma lives in the tissue. It lives in the nervous system. We only process emotions in our brain for about 90 seconds before they get stored in the body. That's why someone who's experienced a physical trauma, like let's say a car accident, maybe it happened years ago, but they might still flinch at the sound of screeching brakes, right? They might know I'm totally safe, but their body hasn't fully released the survival energy surrounding the accident, so they're responding to it in the present. Or on a less traumatic scale, if I have any dancers on this call, maybe you hear your competition song from years ago and your body automatically like starts doing the choreography, even though you haven't thought about it in years. Muscle memory, right? And our emotions get stored the exact same way because our patterns, our beliefs, our ways of being, they're not imprinted up here. They're imprinted on the body, which sounds kind of weird, but it's actually super cool because if our body can store an emotion, it can also release it. All the tools we need to heal live within us. But the key to accessing those tools is understanding your nervous system. So our nervous system is composed of two parts. We have our sympathetic nervous system and our parasympathetic nervous system. And you can think of our sympathetic nervous system as being sympathetic to danger. It's our fight, our flight, and our freeze response. This is where the body prepares for a threat, the muscles tighten, maybe the heart races a little bit, maybe the breath gets shallow. It's where our body prepares for an anticipated threat and does what it thinks it needs to do in order to survive. You'll often hear people refer to it as the on position. And when we get stuck in the on position, we're go, 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 we're living in stress, we're living with hypervigilance. That's why when good things happen, We can pick fights, we can self-sabotage, we can think the world is out to get us. We've just learned to live in chronic stress. Everything feels like a threat. Maybe that sounds familiar to things you've experienced in life. I know it definitely does for things I've experienced in life. But then we have the magical parasympathetic nervous system. And our parasympathetic nervous system is known as our rest and digest. It's where we feel calm, where we feel open, where we feel expansive, where we feel grounded enough to make good decisions. And I don't know about you, but I would much rather live my life in a state of calm than in a state of stress. And the easiest way to do that is to train your nervous system to get into the parasympathetic through something called vagus nerve stimulation. So we have a nerve, the vagus nerve, that starts at the base of our brain. It comes down our throat, our heart, our lungs, and it webs out into a netting in our stomach. You can think of the vagus nerve kind of like a communication highway between the brain and the body. It's always sending signals of, am I safe? Do I need to be on alert? You've probably felt your vagus nerve before if you've ever had butterflies or gotten a gut feeling about something. That's your vagus nerve talking to you. And the amazing thing is, we can actually stimulate the vagus nerve through things like breath, sound, and movement in order to signal to our bodies that we are safe. And I want everyone here tonight to feel safe. So that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to hop into a little somatic practice to stimulate the vagus nerve. So to start, you're just going to connect with the breath, finding a nice tall seat, laying down if that feels good to you. And I invite you, if it feels safe to do so, to close down the eyes. You don't have to do anything with your breath. You don't have to change it. Just notice. Where are you breathing into? Is it the belly? Is it the chest? How does the breath feel? Just noticing. And with your next breath, I want you to see if you can get just 1% more relaxed. Inhaling 1% deeper and exhaling 1% slower. Allowing your stomach to become loose and expansive with breath. Finding your body's natural rhythm. Taking it nice and slow. Seeing with each and every breath if you can get just 1% more relaxed. Nothing else matters right now. This is your time to be with your breath. Just breathe. Continuing to breathe for just another minute or so. And when you feel complete, I invite you to open up your eyes, reorient to the room. Amazing. How's everyone feeling? Awesome. Okay, so we just stimulated the vagus nerve with breath. Now we're going to stimulate with sound through something called bee's breath. Bee's breath, super simple. You're going to inhale through the nose and you're going to exhale on a hum. So it'll look and sound something like this. And there's multiple ways you can practice this. You can keep your hands in your lap, or if you really want to intensify the vibrating feeling, you can take your thumbs over the tragus point of your ears, close them off, and extend the two fingers over your eyes to really turn the gaze inward. So play around with it, hands in lap, hands closing off the ears, whatever feels good to you and your body. You're just going to inhale nice and deep and then exhale on a hum. Whenever you're ready, feel free to close down the eyes and really let the vibration fill your body. Really let that vibration stimulate the vagus nerve. Breathing nice and long and deep through the nose. Seeing if you can allow the sound to last just a bit longer, or maybe making it a bit louder, signaling to the body, I am safe to be heard. I am safe to be heard. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling with a slow hum. And when you feel complete, you're welcome to open back up your eyes. Amazing. Okay, so we have stimulated the vagus nerve with breath, with sound, and now we are going to stimulate with some movement. But before we head into this part, I just want to say that if you learn anything from this class tonight, it's that your body knows what's best for you. So if at any point in time I'm doing a movement that doesn't feel good to you, don't do it. I will not be offended. You know your body better than anyone. So if I'm doing something and you're like, oh, that doesn't feel good, find what does. Even if it's just laying back and connecting with your breath, that is totally okay. So to start off, we're actually going to come to a standing position. Make sure you can see me. Camera up just a little bit. Amazing. Okay, so we are going to do a practice known as heel drops. You're literally just going to come up onto the toes and drop the body down. Come up on the toes, drop the body down. And now, unlike exercise where you would control the come down, we're literally up, let the body jiggle. Up, let the body jiggle. Just taking it nice and slow, maybe inhaling through the nose to come up, exhaling out the mouth to come down, inhaling through the nose to come up, exhaling to come down, just finding your flow. Maybe you twist the arms a little bit. Maybe you make some sound. Just finding what feels good to you and your body. Amazing. Another minute here or so. Perfect. And when you feel complete, you can come back to a seated position, whether you're on the floor like I am or sitting in a chair with your feet firmly planted on the ground beneath you. We are going to do something called Sufi circles, where you're just going to rotate the body around. Going nice and slow, really using the full range of motion. And I like to pair this with a breathwork practice where I inhale through the nose to come back, and then I exhale out the mouth to come forward. Inhale through the nose, exhale out the mouth. But find what feels good to you and your body. But I find that adding the breath work here makes it even more impactful. If you've been in the somatic space for a while, or maybe you've just heard this online, they say trauma gets stored in the hips. And this is a good hip release exercise. Really allowing your full range of motion and just letting your body do what it wants. Once you feel complete in that direction, we will start moving in the other direction. Allowing any emotions to come to the surface and just breathing through them, being with what is. And once you feel complete, welcome to find stillness. Now I'm going to switch into rock pose. You're welcome to stay how you are, but if you did want to sit in rock pose, you're just folding the knees over and sitting back on the heels. From here, we are going to do something called torso twists. The arms or the hands are going to go on top of the shoulders, fingers down the front, thumbs down the back. And we want to make sure our elbows are kept nice and lifted. And we're just going to twist from side to side, inhaling through the nose in one direction, exhaling out the nose in the other. So taking it at your own pace, keeping the elbows nice and lifted. I like to pretend that they're like blades cutting through any limiting beliefs, cutting through any old patterns. Or if I'm feeling extra spicy, I pretend that I'm whacking my enemies with them. People who've been mean to me, who? You're not invited to this party. Whack, 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 whack. But take it at your own pace. Do what feels good to you and your body. Another couple twists here. And when you feel complete, you can come back to stillness. Amazing. So our next somatic move this evening is going to be something called a spinal flex. You can think of it kind of like a seated cat-cow. We're going to flex the spine forward, flex the spine back, flex the spine forward, flex the spine back. And I find that it works really well with inhaling through the nose when you're in the back, exhaling out the mouth to come forward. So finding the breathwork pattern and the pace that feels good to you and your body. I almost like to think of it when I'm coming back. It's like I'm getting ready, and then I'm expelling any of my negative energy. Finding your body's natural rhythm here. Flexing the spine forward and back. And remembering to breathe regardless of the breath pattern that you're using. Because breath is life force. Another couple breaths here. And when you feel complete, you can come to stillness. Amazing. So for our final magic trick tonight, because it's my favorite, I can never cut this one out. We are going to do something called joy swings. And I will move down here so I don't knock anything over. Joy swings, just watch first because sometimes people get tripped up. We're going to come to a standing position, feet hips width apart. Really just feel the earth underneath the feet. And you're going to start by bringing the arms up, out, up, swing, up, out, up, up, out, up, swing. And we're going to pair this with an O-ring breath, inhaling and exhaling out the mouth in an O-ring shape. Make sure you're pumping from the belly. If you pump from the chest, you might get a little lightheaded. You might get some anxiety. So and we're going to pair that with the arms. Taking it at your own pace, going as fast or as slow as you need to. Up, out, up, swing. Amazing. Couple more swings here. And when you're ready, you can come back to stillness, come back to a seated position. Awesome. How is everyone feeling? Amazing. Okay, so we did the hard part, which is dropping into the body and connecting with ourselves. But that just barely scratches the surface because once the body feels calm, we can play with our energy in a more intentional way and direct it to how we want to feel. So I want you to ask yourself, how do I want to feel? Not, oh, I don't want to be anxious. I don't want to be depressed. No, how do you want to feel? Because in traditional Chinese medicine, it's said that we have different energy pathways flowing throughout our body. Here's a fun little diagram for you. And each of these energy pathways is assigned to a different way of being, a different personality type, different patterns, different belief systems. So, just like we stimulated the vagus nerve, we can actually stimulate these different energy pathways to get us into our desired state of being, if you will. So I want you to think about how do you want to feel? And I'll drop these in the chat, but I'm going to give you 5 options, okay? And each of these, again, is associated with a different energy pathway. So let me know. Do you want to feel 1, more grounded and clear-headed? 2, more structured and reflective? 3, more creative and in your feelings? 4, stepping into leadership and taking action? Or 5, do you want to feel more joy and magnetism? So I'll give you a second. Again, it's grounded and clear-headed, structured and reflective, creative and in your feelings, leadership, taking action, or joy and magnetism. And we might want to feel all of these things. That's amazing. I know I do as well, but just pick what your priority is because we don't want to overwhelm our energy system. And I'm going to teach a short mini practice for each of them. Okay? How's everyone feeling? Amazing. So, for my friends who wanted to feel more grounded and clear-headed, just my friends who wanted to feel more grounded and clear-headed, what you're going to do is you're going to find a nice tall seat. You're going to tuck in your chin ever so slightly. You're going to take the hands, curl the fingers over, and you're going to press your temples with your thumb. And I want you to find like the part of the temple where when you clench and unclench the jaw, they kind of go in and out. Yeah. So you're going to hold the hands right here. I'll back up a little bit. And you are going to clench and unclench the jaw while mentally chanting the mantra Sa, Ta, Na, Ma. And that means truth is my name, truth is my identity. If that doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. Pick a mantra that does. But you're just literally going to keep the thumbs pressed here, keeping the arms nice and lifted, and mentally chant Sa, Ta, Na, Ma while clenching and unclenching the jaw. So it'll look something like this. Got it? Okay, amazing. Now for my friends who want it to be a little bit more structured and reflective. You are going to glue the elbows to the sides. You're going to take your 2 fingers up like this, like little antennas as I like to think of them. And we're going to practice a 3-part breath where you're going to take 2 sips of air through the mouth and 1 exhale through the nose. So it'll look something like this. And you can play around with the speed of the breath. You can play around with how deep you're going, but 2 sips of air through the mouth, exhale out the nose. So let's just try that all together. Got it? How's everyone feeling? Good? Amazing. So now I want my more creative, in your feelings type friends. Now it's time for your practice. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold a yoni mudra where you'll curl the middle 3 fingers in. You'll press pinky to pinky, thumb to thumb. You can hold this at the heart space. You can hold this lower at the womb space. But from here, we're going to be practicing an ocean breath where you'll inhale through the nose, exhale out the mouth, inhale through the mouth, and exhale out the nose. So all together, it'll look something like this. Make sense? Amazing. All right. And now we have my friends who are looking to step into leadership and take action on their goals. This one, it's kind of my favorite. I love all of these. Who am I kidding? So what you're going to do is you're going to make a four with your hands and you're going to curl the fingers over and you're just going to rest them right at your nipple line. And you're just going to start by backstroking the arms over the head. You can take this as fast or as slow as you need to. And it's going to be the same breath work pattern as those joy swings we did earlier. So it's an O-ring breath pumping from the belly. So it'll look. This one's also really great for anger. Sometimes I like to imagine that I'm punching someone in the face. I'm regulated, but I'm human. What can I say? All right, how's everyone feeling about this one? Amazing, great. So we're on to the last one, which is joy and magnetism. So for this one, again, we're going to glue the elbows to the side and start with open palms. And this is going to be a wrist twist. So open, close, open, twist and close, open, twist and close, open, twist and close. And this is also kind of going to be like an O-ring breath. It's so play around with the pace, but all together. Amazing. How's everyone feeling about that one? Perfect. Okay, so as you can see, we all have a little bit different of healing goals and how we want to feel, which is amazing. So instead of doing the same practice like we all did earlier, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to just take the practice of your choosing so you can really embody that energy. So again, my friends who want to be more grounded and clear-headed, you're here. My friends who want to be more structured, you're here. My friends who want to be more creative, we're here. My friends who want leadership, we're backstroking it. And for my friends who want more joy and magnetism, open, close, open, close. How's everyone feeling? Good? Amazing. So for about 2 minutes, you're just going to do your practice. Perfect. Whenever you're ready, feel free to close down the eyes and embody the energy. Beautiful. Okay. So practices like breath work, meditation, movement, they're incredibly powerful for the nervous system. But sometimes when we start to shift the energy, old patterns, old beliefs, things that are ready to be released start to come to the surface. And you might beat yourself up a little bit and be like, dang it, I thought I just healed that. But this is actually a really great sign because it means that whatever's coming up is coming up because it's ready to be pushed out of the body, it's ready to be released. But here's where people get a little tripped up. Sometimes they might revert into like telling the story, re-traumatizing themselves, because here's the thing, our bodies cannot tell the difference between when we're talking about a traumatic event versus when we're actually experiencing one. So instead, what we want to do is we want to give the body or like the emotions space within our body so that it can move up and out of us. And a really great way to do that is through something called somatic experiencing, which focuses on bringing awareness to the body in the now through things like sensation, emotion, posture, and imagination. So we're going to play a little game of a very practical way that you can start using somatic experiencing in your daily life through something I like to call somatic decision making. And I don't know if somatic decision making is a real thing, but it's a real thing for me, so we're going to go with it. And how this came about was once upon a time, I was on a performance contract that I was told would be in the heart of Chicago. I was, in fact, not in the heart of Chicago, and it was just bad news bears from there. Treacherous working conditions, really nasty director. It was an outdoor show, and we weren't given time to put on sunscreen, so I got really badly sunburnt. Not to mention, I was forced to live in a moldy motel room. And all of this together started causing me really, really bad anxiety. And my body knew that I did not want to be there anymore. But my ego, naturally, formed a whole story about it. They're like, well, if you go home, what will this person think of you? And what does that say about you as a performer? And well, ultimately, my ego didn't matter at the end of the day because that anxiety started manifesting its way into physical symptoms that landed me in the emergency room. So as I sat in the ER, after weeks of ignoring my body, I decided to play a little game with myself. I said, okay, imagine that you're home. You've already made the decision to go home. You're home. You're laying in your bed. How do you feel? And immediately, my heart palpitations stopped. It felt like I took the first deep breath in weeks. My sunburn stopped hurting. I could breathe again. I was at peace. And I just let myself experience that reality for a little bit. Got very specific about it and I just let myself live there. And then I did the flip side and I said, okay, now imagine you have to continue living in this moldy motel room for the next 4 months. You don't know where you're going to do laundry. You're getting screamed at. Nothing changes. Now what happens in your body? And immediately I contracted. Palpitations, my sunburn was fiery. I started having a panic attack, all the things. And it's just so funny to me to think about the fact that my body so clearly knew the answer to the choice that my brain was struggling to make. So humor me. Let's do a little somatic decision making. Doesn't need to be about anything big. It can be, do I get Starbucks tomorrow or do I get Dunkin'? Do I get coffee? Do I get tea? Or you can use this with a decision that you've been struggling with in your life. So, just like we did in the beginning, I'm going to invite you to either lie down, find a nice tall seat, shut down the eyes if that feels good to you, and just notice your breath. Connect with your breath. And as you start to feel connected to your breath, I want you to bring to mind the decision that you have to make. Not the answers, just the decision itself. How does your body feel about having to make this decision? Any sensations come up? Any visuals? Temperature changes? Colors? Just notice what you're experiencing. How does the decision feel in your body? And once you've connected with that, I invite you to imagine that you've already made, let's call it option A. Envision your life as though you've already chosen to live in the reality of option A. What do you notice in your body? Where does your breath go? Does it feel more expansive, more constricted? Do you see any visuals? Any temperature changes? Just notice what you're experiencing in your body and where. And just follow that. Give your body the experience of option A. Now I invite you to do the flip side. Imagine you're living the reality of option B. What do you notice in your body? Does your breath pattern change? Are the sensations positive? Are they negative? Give the body a good scan. What happens in your body when you imagine the reality of living with option B? And when you feel complete, you're welcome to open back up the eyes, reorient to the space. How's everyone feeling? Did anyone get clarity on their answer, their yes or no? Because the body usually tells you, doesn't it? Yeah, yeah, amazing. Okay. What I hope you're starting to notice is the body is innately intelligent. It holds so much wisdom when we slow down enough to listen. It can tell us exactly what we need to know. Tonight, we explored different ways of working with the body and how each nervous system is a little bit different. All of this work is incredibly powerful, but the first step in real healing isn't just deciding how you want to feel. It's understanding where your nervous system is starting from and the patterns it's already running. Because the practice that regulates one nervous system can actually be very dysregulating for another, regardless of if both people want to feel the same way. So, if the work we explore tonight resonates with you and you're curious to understand the pattern your nervous system is running and the practice that best supports you, doors are officially open to my one-on-one program, Embody Your Light, where we take everything we touched on tonight and personalize it to your nervous system. Together, we look at the patterns your body's been running, use the lens of traditional Chinese medicine to understand the energetic imbalances at play, and work directly with the body through somatic practices and somatic experiencing to help you close the loops and release the survival energy your body has been holding. That feels like something you'd like to explore more deeply. I would love to connect and see if it feels like the right next step for you. And if tonight simply helped you reconnect with your body a little more, that alone is a beautiful place to start. Thank you all so much for being here tonight, and I hope to connect with you soon. Good night.